Hey guys, this is like a new series that I wanted to try out because I've not been so consistent in terms of like publishing videos recently. I only like to publish things that are new, things that haven't been spoken about before, new discoveries in whatever I'm working on and what I'm doing. And there are just basically some periods where there are no like significant breakthroughs. Where I have had a few actually. We've got some interesting ones like remote control iOS, but for whatever reason I haven't recorded that. But I wanted to try out like this weekly updates because there are a lot of different topics and new discoveries that I have almost every week, whether it's books that I'm reading or new software that I discover or new structures and practices within my life that I'm currently trying out that I feel are valuable, but they're just like there's not enough in them for it to be worth me creating a whole video about them. So I thought I'd do a weekly update of just interesting things that I've kind of come across and discovered. So first off, I listened to an audiobook called Deep Nutrition, which is similar to Primal Eating. I can strongly encourage everyone to go and listen to this if you care about your own health, but also your children. It talks quite a lot in this book about how various different foods actually impact in how your DNA is actually cloned onto your sperm, but also in a woman through things such as like breastfeeding, or if a woman isn't breastfeeding, like some of the negative implications of that. I've been following this, I can't call it like a diet because it's not restrictive eating, but this kind of eating protocol of basically only eating whole foods, like single source ingredients and nothing processed. I've been following for 6 days now and can honestly say I feel fantastic. Like my energy levels are up massively. I've been eating way less. I have no sugar cravings at all, which for me is very, very strange. Because I do have a sweet tooth. I would strongly recommend reading it and then just like implementing the diet and just see if it makes a difference for you. I am genuinely shocked at how much of an impact this has had for me over such a short period. It's also been kind of a big learning for me that one of the highest improvements that money can actually afford you in your life, one of the easiest ways to improve your quality of life is by improving your diet, and money does allow that because you're kind of eating organic and buying grass-fed steaks and all this. Like it's a lot more expensive to do than to buy mass-produced food. It does cost a premium to be ordering like fresh and whole ingredients, but it's 100% worth it. I think that's genuinely one of the biggest improvements that money can actually afford you in your life. I also read a book called listened to the audiobook of 6 to 7 Figures. Currently, I'm really focusing on systems and pushing myself out of my own businesses. Really good book. Strongly suggest anyone to listen to it. Very, very practical. And I found that I was kind of taking a lot of notes all the way through. So it's not kind of just giving off a load of random information. It's to the point, practical steps of going from 6 to 7 figures, which I have done already. However, the information is still just as useful. I feel that there's kind of like a lack of content really in that space. A lot of content is pushed towards people looking to make, $10,000 per month or like to make their first $1 million, whereas not so much of it is focused on how to get from like the steps above that, simply because most of the audience is just trying to achieve the lowest level of financial freedom. There's not a huge audience of people looking to buy books of going from 7 figures to 10 to 8 figures. Purely how the market is. I've also made a big change in my life. I've been walking every single day for about 3 to 4 hours per day, walking in a different direction every day. So you don't go the same direction twice. Sometimes you end up overlapping, but it doesn't really matter. But the point is it doesn't get repetitive. And just listening to audiobooks this whole time. So listening on like 2x speed, depending on the length of the book, I'm doing like 1, sometimes 2 books per day. It has been really, really good for me as well. I'm genuinely feeling like very relaxed and in control, I think would be the best way by me taking a step back from being like hands-on throughout my businesses. Ironically, I feel a lot more like in control and that I have a higher kind of bird's eye view over everything that's kind of taking place. Also, it's been good for like fitness, spending more time out in the sun, and in the particular location that I'm at the moment, there's a lot of hidden little places. So simply by walking, it's so basic, but simply by walking, you absorb much more of the places around you, and you find like these little hidden spots. And I'll go in somewhere for like a massage or I found like a sauna, a red light sauna and cold plunge place the other day just as I was walking by that I just went to, doing like day passes at gyms. So it's really like switching up my routine and being a bit more spontaneous. And I've actually really enjoyed this life setup at the moment. Also, I've changed to 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. eating window, which I don't want to explain to anyone the benefits of health. I don't think I'm the right person to do that, but I've noticed significant differences in my life. The next thing we'll go into a couple of different softwares and tools that I've been working with quite a lot recently. So Process Street, I'll link everything in the description, by the way, just so you can find the links easily. Process Street is a really interesting tool for building out standard operating procedures for your team. It also integrates with Make, integrates with webhooks, it integrates with Airtable. So you can trigger an SOP, which basically makes a task and puts it in one of your employees' inboxes, and they just check off step by step. You can have things like them uploading photos and videos and various different things, and you can actually sign it off or have a manager sign it off and approve it when it's done. It shows you how many open tasks they have, the average time of completion. You can set different due dates dynamically for each different step within your SOPs. I found it to be really helpful for having like quality assurance within your team. So we operate with a team in Georgia that I've worked with for a very long time. I've been based out of Georgia for a very long time now. But the one thing that you always find lacking is, as much as salaries are far, far cheaper, so you can hire for $300 to $400 per month, you definitely miss out on a lot of things, such as like perfect English. You won't find it at those levels, but also a level of like quality assurance becomes much harder to find. So the way that you would solve that previously was through management, whereas this is, or try to solve it through management, but it's hard to kind of oversee everything. But now with Process Street, I found it's been really, really good for just breaking down step by step what needs to be done, and then you can build approval systems within your workflow to check something off. Like you get the team member to upload a screenshot of an Instagram account they've made, for example, and you can just check it off whether it's good or not and give them feedback on what they should change. If it's not good enough, it just makes the process very, very simple and easy to follow. So we're moving all operating procedures and processes. If it's not automated, if it's a human-based system, it's currently being moved into Process Street. So it's kind of like Make or Integromat, but for people, quickly becoming one of my favorite tools to work on. Another one to look at is render.com. I've also been using this quite a lot. So for anyone who's doing like large-scale automations, perhaps on Make, perhaps on Integromat, or on Zapier, you should definitely be looking at moving away from if it's large scale. Or even like Pipedream. There were some automations, like when we're doing huge scale scraping, that on Integromat would cost me about $5,000 per month. Even on Pipedream, I was spending like $1.2 to $2,000 per month on server costs. And I've moved this over to render.com, which is, it's a hosting service, so it's really easy to deploy to, so you need to actually use code. But I'm now running these scraping services for under $5 per month compared to what would have cost me about $4,000 or $5,000 on make.com. So for any like large scale automations, even if you're not technical yourself, if you've got them set up and they're running somewhere and they're costing upwards of like a few $100s per month, I would say and you know you're going to be using them for a long time, I would say it becomes worth talking to a developer, hiring a freelancer or someone within your team or whatever to actually code them up, assuming that you're not changing them too often, and you can deploy them onto render.com. And render.com has kind of like similar functionality that you can use what's called a cron job, where you will basically set the frequency that you want the script to run, that you want the automation to trigger. And again, it's just like you're spending pennies. So I've brought my costs down from about $7,000 to below $70. Next thing I really use quite a lot is using AI chat, so using Raycast. So there's a shortcut that you can use just to open AI chat, and then I can actually have, this is just GPT, it's just a different interface for GPT. Write me a bot for scraping Google images in Node.js. So I see that people often have, GPT open in like a new tab or something, and I just find it so much easier to work through Raycast. And you can see here it's kind of written out the code for me. It definitely helps that you're able to understand code, so you can actually go back to to GPT and kind of iterate over the improvements that you want, any changes that you need to be made. But this is like just such an easy way to work with GPT and kind of have it in so many different parts of your workflow. So I've been able to build things like, at best, I'm like a mid-level engineer. I just kind of know what I need to know. I've never worked in a commercial programming environment. I'm entirely self-taught, but I just find now with AI, because I'm able to read code, I'm able to build things that would have perhaps previously taken me a week or longer in some cases. I'm able to like push them out in like 4 to 6 hours. Next piece of software I'm going to introduce you to, this is kind of OF or anyone in like black hat spaces, but get all my links. Again, I'll put a link below so that you can find it easily. Nice solution that I was actually working on myself for some time but wasn't able to solve, of using deep linking and cloaking simultaneously. So what that means is, if you open a link through Instagram, it will put you through the embedded browser, right? And the reason that that's not good is because it's not using like the native browser such as Safari or Chrome or whatever is installed on the user's phone. It's putting you through Instagram's embedded browser, which means they're not logged into all of their applications. So let's say this is like an OF guy who has an OF account. If he clicks the link from Instagram, it's going to use the Instagram embedded browser, which means he's not logged into OF, which means he has to log in, and you're going to see a very high drop in conversions. Rather, what deep linking will do is it will actually link directly to Safari or Google Chrome or whatever browser the user's using natively. So if they're logged into OF, they're literally able to click one button to subscribe to the profile, which has a massive increase on conversion rates. And it also has cloaking, which means that the link is hidden from Instagram. And I'm not going to disclose right now, but we've been doing some very, let's say, creative strategies with AI, pushing the boundaries quite a lot. And because we have link cloaking in place, in fact, I'll disclose it, why not? We're doing a lot of breastfeeding strategies. And because we have link cloaking in place, if Instagram views the website, we redirect them to a breastfeeding charity where there's like a donation page, and we're talking about raising awareness for breastfeeding. And for everyone else, they're going to get redirected to the OF profile. So, and that's how we've been able to not get so many accounts banned. So another thing that I've been working with quite a lot is called Wi-Fi Map. It's a community where you can upload passwords to public Wi-Fis. And so if I'm in Paris, for example, I can see my exact location. These are all the passwords that it has. So like in my travels, whenever I'm like out and about, I just see so many people asking like, can you get me the password of the Wi-Fi? And this is just so much more convenient as a way to operate. Like you don't need to ask anyone for anything. Of course you can if you want to make conversation or something, but there's passwords for literally everywhere here. And it also tells you like the Wi-Fi speed. So, and you can also download the map to be offline. So if I travel to a specific country, I can download the entire, all the Wi-Fi passwords in that specific country. So whenever I'm walking around, if for whatever reason I haven't got Wi-Fi, I can just, I have all the passwords saved. Another thing that I'll introduce you to, I think hopefully most of you are aware of this, but like eSIMs. So Wi-Fi Map also does offer an eSIM, but you can also use like different services. So if you're traveling to new countries, like you never need to buy a physical SIM card anymore. I use something called Airalo and also Nomad, depending on what country I'm in and what different offers they have. But you just have the app on your phone, you press a few buttons to choose what country you want the eSIM for, and it will install on your phone automatically, and you will have an internet connection in that country. So a few little travel hacks for those of you who are living a nomadic lifestyle. Another thing that I've been using a lot is, or not even using, it's just an automation that I built, but an app called Keyboard Maestro that works for Mac. And one of my favorite automations that I built is when I put on my AirPods that automatically connect to the Mac, when Keyboard Maestro detects this, it will automatically open Spotify and start a specific playlist. So instead of me needing to have like a particular, like just kind of removing any of the steps for me getting into like a flow state, I put on the headphones and immediately it goes to my focus playlist and it starts playing it without me doing anything. So simple, but really, really nice automation. I also built out something similar. Like I said, I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks, and now when I connect my AirPods to my phone, this is just done through Apple Shortcuts. It will automatically start playing through Audible, but I've also been using the Apple Books app. I've actually become a fan of their kind of UX. Unfortunately, neither of them have any integrations to Readwise or to being able to like export any notes, which is quite annoying. I'd really like to see that changed, but yeah. Final thing that I will say is I've been working mainly from my Notion notes section. So previously, I used to do a lot of different like dashboards and different sections within my Notion system, have different dashboards for different things in different areas in my life. And whilst I'm not against that, I do feel that you can end up with kind of like a bloated system. And if you want to add in or retrieve a piece of information, you have to remember where you put it. You have to navigate through to that specific thing. You have to have loads of different things in like your favorites to make them easily accessible. Or you have to like have a load of different like shortcuts to things on Notion on your phone, a load of different widgets, which again, I think it kind of just becomes bloated. So I've now just been working out of like my notes page where I have everything from notes that I have from books, from ideas that I have, from the notes on this YouTube video, whereas before I'd worked from my YouTube section. I've really been like exploring a lot in my life that like simplicity and not adding complexity to systems. Just because you can build something and it sounds good, does it add too much friction to your workflow? For example, I have like a YouTube dashboard within Notion, which like on paper is much better and it has way more features, but in fact, is it just adding more like complexity and more friction? So much so that it's not really worth the upside of using. Finally, I will just show this is my current setup on iPhone. So like it's purely widgets based. I'm always actually interested to see people's setup on how they structure their device. So I have my calendar up at the top. I have my screen time on the left-hand side. Then I have my notes and Notion ideas, just one click away in the most natural position for my thumb to open. And then I have a habits tracker at the bottom that's included on Setup. And another little hack for you, actually, just off the top of my head. So I deleted, I'm not a big Instagram user anyway, but I am just as susceptible as anyone else to Reels and to YouTube Shorts and to all this stuff, which is literally programmed to suck away our attention. So one recommendation that I can give you, because perhaps you want Instagram for talking to girls or talking to friends or checking your DMs, like whatever it is. If it's just DMs you can actually use Beeper. But for like having like a social presence online, I now choose to just log into my Instagram through Safari, which means the user experience is much worse through Safari or through Arc browser on mobile. Like it's not as seamless to scroll, it's slower to load because they haven't got as much control of how Safari works compared to if they're running natively through the Instagram app. So by having a much worse user experience on the app, you spend far less time on it and you don't get sucked into like watching Reels endlessly. So if that's a problem for you, and you like on TikTok or Reels or on YouTube Shorts or whatever, I've deleted all of these apps natively and I just use them through the Arc web browser for mobile, so I don't get sucked into any of these wasting time things because the user experience isn't as good. It means you don't spend as much time using the applications. Anyway, I think that is everything from me. I hope that this was kind of useful just to give you like some things that I'm working on, discoveries that I've had over the past kind of couple of weeks. Also, I always appreciate anyone else's like tips and kind of feedback, whether it's a book that you've been reading or something interesting. I don't say this just for farming comments, but feel free to leave a comment below. I literally read every comment that I get and like to use it almost as like a kind of sharing of information thing. So if there's any interesting books or interesting discoveries people have had recently, feel free to let me know in the comments.